This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud partner of the WAFL and WAFLW. The West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams. Kia, proud partner of the WAFLW. This is Kia. Simply Energy, supporting WA Footy's talent pathway.
And a perfect day for football down here at Revo Fitness Stadium as the WAFL women's competition gets back underway. A week off last week with the lockdown around the Perth and Peel regions, but we're back on again this afternoon, and we're back in style with the top of the table clash between Claremont and Swan districts. Dave Lindsay with you in the commentary box here this afternoon, ahead of what is a massive clash in the WAFL women's season. The third time these two teams have met this season. Swans have won on both occasions. In fact, the only two losses Claremont have had this year. Meanwhile, Swans have won 8 straight to start the season. It's the longest winning streak in the 3 seasons of the WAFL women's competition so far. There you can see Michaela Bowen, the West Coast Eagles star, who is out here today for Swan districts. There was around about 40 players added to team lists across the weekend through AFLW returning players and also the State 19s players coming back into the WAFL women's competition. So it'll put a real new spin on the competition for the back end of the qualifying rounds and also the finals, because the AFLW girls and the State 19 girls will have a huge impact on how the games will be played. Claremont and Swans, your match for broadcast here. Fantastic day for footy. Plenty to talk about as we come back after this break. The Tigers and the Swans, your match for broadcast here this afternoon.
Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple. Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple.
3, 1, go!
A few minutes away from bounce down, round 10 of the WAFLW season, and we're here at Revo Fitness Stadium. Claremont Oval for the Tigers, taking on Swan districts, undefeated on top of the table. Swans 8 and zip. Claremont sitting second coming into the round with a 6-2 record. There are only 2 losses against Swan districts back in round 1 when Swans beat Claremont by a goal. Very low scoring on that occasion, 2-6 playing 1-6, and then Swans were comfortable winners against Claremont in round 6, winning by 33 points. Both of those games at Steel Blue Oval, this time here at Claremont. So the Tigers have the home ground advantage, and it is the stereotypical perfect day for football, Clint Degebrot. They often say it in the commentary box, but today is that day. Temperature in the low 20s and no breeze to speak of. It is absolutely perfect for the girls out here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's so handy that all the good players are back in these kind of conditions as well. So fast and hard track. The weather today, thanks to front row screens, 23 degrees with the wind at 10 k's. It's not blowing at 10 k's at the moment, so we should expect that to come in a bit later on screen. Matilda Dyke taking catch on the far side is Matilda Sargent, of course, one of those players with the state 18s, and the other coming back from Fremantle. So you mentioned in the introduction how much, what an impact these players are going to have as they come back into the competition, and we should see them have some fun today out there.
Absolutely, and it really does change the whole mix of the competition. I know Swan's sitting pretty at the top of the table. It's a couple of games clear at the moment. Claremont and Peel in that next little bunch in second and third. Peel defeated East Fremantle last night by 29 points, so they've got the early win to sneak ahead of Claremont on the table for now at least. But with so many players coming back in, particularly to those top 5 teams, you'll see a few here in the Claremont lineup. The way the season's shaped up in the first half of the year, it could be totally different in the back half.
And Claremont heavily favoured too. There's lots of players that they've had out getting further developed at both at AFLW and state academy level. I think all clubs are going to be refreshed. You talk about Peel, they have sort of 8 players coming back from the 19s. I think they'll be strong. East Fremantle get Roxy Rue and the like back, Gabby O'Sullivan, Evie Gooch. So terrific for that footy club to have that strength and battle. And Swans, I think, have been strong all year, and they're only going to get stronger. So I think there's going to be a different dynamic. I think, well, hopefully the scores are going to go even higher from here, because the ball should be able to move really a bit more speed on the ball. So should be able to slingshot a bit more. The team there, of course, as you can see up on your screen there, Jamie Henry, the 15-year-old in her first season of footy, going pretty well at this level. Kelly Gibson comes back in. She's a follower today. That should be super for her. Actually, Abigail Bushby too. Karratha product through Swan District's zones up there. Moved down to Perth a couple of years ago with her family, and it's great to see her having a run around. Fantastic runner, and I think it may be an Australian level junior softballer. So making that transition there. Hope Ugle Hayward on your screen in the background. She has spent a bit of time here at Claremont as well prior to going to the Swannies. So just sit back and I guess enjoy this. It's going to be, we're in a terrific spot to be able to do that. But the game should be exciting and fast. Plenty of good players out there today.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And Bennett, their number 37 for the Tigers, had a very successful carnival with the state 19s alongside Matilda Dyke. 3 Matildas all lined up in a row on the team sheet for Claremont. Matilda Husband, Matilda Sargent, Matilda Dyke, 22, 23, 26. You don't see that too often, but the Matilda Dyke and M. Bennett, they were 2 of the standout players for the state 19s, particularly Matilda Dyke, I think very much unheralded coming into this season, but did a fantastic job as a lockdown defender for the 19s, and M. Bennett playing through the half-back line and midfield as well.
Yeah, both got tons of the ball and certainly can win their one-on-ones. Matilda Dyke was super one-on-one in the last line of defence in her couple of games for Western Australia, and I think she thoroughly enjoyed herself. Swans go into their huddle. Interesting to see who's got the call there. It's Emily Maguire, of course.
Emma Maguire, who has not missed a game at this level since the start of the WAFLW. Her and Lauren Osborne, the 2 Swan District players who have never missed a game. Brooke White has done the same for Claremont, but Swans, having played a couple of extra finals, means that the 2 Swans girls, 31 games, and they've remained out on the field every game for Swannies. Bella Lewis in the pink there for the Tigers. Unfortunately for her, she's desperate to play more games of footy, but the West Coast Eagles have put her on ice for now. Yeah,
she's been in 6th gear for her first AFLW season. I think they were trying to introduce her across the year like we try to do with our rookies at all levels and all genders. But she was forced into the midfield through some injuries, and her first year was very dynamic, of course, winning a club best and fairest. News is rumour going around in the Claremont rooms too that the West Coast Eagles have asked her to manage her minutes as a runner because they're expecting her to do between 13 and 15 Ks today.
It looks like Sarah Garstone might share the job with her, so you might see Sarah just taking Bella off the ground occasionally as well, just to calm her down. But the teams are ready to go. We're going to see Graskowski in the ruck for Swans to get things started. Might be Husband who will lead the ruck for Claremont. Who's your tip today, Dex? Top of the table to clash?
Oh, it's hard to go past the Swans' form, but I guess the more you win, the closer you get to a loss. But I'll go with the Swans today.
So through the middle comes Webb. She left the ball behind. Goranova with the first touch of the game, getting the Tigers towards half forward. Good contest there with White beaten by Henry. Bowen got the white headband on as always, tackled by the Claremont skipper in Smith, who's pretty quick to get that ball back to the umpire as well. And already you can see the intensity, the tempo has lifted on what we saw in the first 5 or 6 weeks of the WAFLW season. Bowen carried forward. As a result, she'll get a free kick between wing and half back for Swan Districts. What a player she's developing into. I think everyone knew she was going to develop into a very good footballer, and now at AFLW, a standout for the West Coast Eagles. There's Ortlip, penalised for holding the ball. Thought she got a hand pass away there as the second tackle arrived, but Hope Ugle will get the free kick for the Black and Whites.
She goes high and long towards the 50. Intercept marks taken by Laura Pugh, who's been able to do that at a couple of different levels. West Perth product originally at the Fremantle Dockers. She just scans her options and goes to the 45 and connects nicely with Ortlap. Doing this for a number of years. Laura Pugh, ball carries over her intended target, the Claremont skipper again in Smith. Gets a little tug on the ponytail from a former teammate at state academy level, Bree Hyde. It's great to see her running around again. Delayed start to the season with a knee issue. Very, very diligent with her rehabilitation. It's great to see her on the park. Can say she was missed at state 19s level. Kick from Smith towards the corridor. Mel Hardy in the box seat. Spills through her hands to Gelmy. Gelmy 1-2 with Bowen. She's been busy already, Bowen. Kick's going to be intercepted by Husband due to the pressure that came onto her as she tried to dispose.
So it's Husband now. Playing that kick behind the play. Sets it up to half forward. Goodwin Wissing. Eyes on the football. Cocks back courageously, but front on contact. That was courage by both players. Neither of those two will ever take their eye off the football. Great kick from Goodwin Wissing as well. Setting up Pugh. Lays it off to the runner going by, and Hamilton Smith deep into the pocket. A bit too much on it for Franklin. Being watched closely by Nanette. Those two were teammates a couple of weeks ago with the state 19s as well, but good to see Amber Goodwin Wissing out there again. Didn't see her at all, I don't think, last year, Deggs, and just returning to the Claremont lineup the last couple of weeks. She
burst onto the scene against East Fremantle. She came onto the ground. I think she kicked the first 2 goals of the game. She sort of reinvented herself through Andrew De Loretta as a power forward, and she's certainly done the job as a hit-up. Kick from Hyde. Clears the danger for now. Sophie McDonald's got the first read of this one. She'll turn left. She does so. Tries to connect in the corridor to Payne. Payne neat in front of her face. Kicks a bit of a short one. Gives Mel Hardy a chance, and pressure will come from all over at the top of 50. Shallow entry. I don't think she'd planned on getting that little foot on it, though. Back towards Goranova. She pumps it in quick. Amy Franklin leads Emily Maguire out to the footy. Pressure comes now from Maguire. Gets her hands free and in the end gets a foot to the ball. It trickles over the line and out of bounds. There's a couple of bits of shade on the ground there, but the oval bathed in sunlight.
So the umpire comes in 10 metres to effect the throw in. It's a short one. Kraskowski in front, brings it to the front of the pack. The Tigers trying to work it into some space to find themselves with a shot on goal. Swans have closed that down pretty quickly. The hurry kick from Webb doesn't clear the zone. Nicely done by the Tigers. He's going over. She can set someone up here. A hand pass away to Smith. Pokes it with the left boot. Gives White every opportunity. Swans do well, though, in defence. Bree Hyde turns the 360 degrees and then clears the area. Crashing through, making the spoil was Sargent, but Bowen was front and square to the contest, tumbling the kick down the wing. Goranova's covering a lot of ground early in the game. Wants to come inside rather. It's a good kick too. Sets up Claremont nicely. Bullis off to Hamilton Smith. This is the kick that they've been lacking in the first few minutes. Demanis can't quite get to that footy. Hardy does well in defence. Gives it off to Gelmy. Now Cox in support. Can't find the handle on the football, and now she's got problems. Tackled by 2 Tigers. Got out of the first. Demanis made sure she wasn't getting through the second, and we'll see a ball up on attacking 50 for Claremont. And the footy's been pretty hot in the first 4.5 minutes.
It's Paley Bullis going towards Franklin. Fisted away from her by Nanette. Imagine Claremont would see that as a bit of a mismatch, but pretty dour at different times, Nanette. She's very good on a wing at state level against Victoria. She's a classy backman, kicks the ball really well. Throw in, a little shallow for the Rucks this time. On the burst of speed coming past was Valentini nearly. Kick will be marked by Jess Lowe at the top of 50 for the Tigers. In entries, 450 entries are shallow, and the kick out's a bit shallow at the moment. Jess Lowe's kick carries towards Germanis. Germanis turns quickly. Brooke White, she brings it into the game. Handball's chopped off by Cox, who's worked back into defence. She tries to look for Henry. Spills through her hands. Henry's got her hands full now with Goodwin Wissing. Henry does a terrific job of just getting this ball over the line. 15 years of age, under fierce pressure from a very strong-bodied, experienced footballer, and Henry was able to do the job.
Very even contests in the first few stages of the game. The Tigers have owned field position, but can't get that shot on goal just yet. High throw in from the boundary umpire. Gets good distance on it. The Rucks wrestle. Through comes Bullis. Has a couple of players just wrestling her. Bowen wraps her up. I think it was teammates, of course. Umpire calls for the footy. Goodwin Wissing down. White tried the soccer. Cox with a clearing kick to a one-on-one. Ortlip makes sure that comes to ground. Baker held her ground well. Here's Jazzy Stewart. Hooks across the body. There's 3 Swans, but it gets out the back. White couldn't quite handle it. Would have been half a chance for the Tigers. Chelmy off quickly towards Mel Hardy. Now away to Jamie Henry. Kicks down the line and off the hands of McDonald. It goes out of play. And a throw in at half forward. And Deggs, this is the sort of footy that Claremont like to play, but they need something on the scoreboard. Otherwise, you know what Swans are capable of doing.
A little handling areas in the front end from the Tigers. They'll sort that out as they just work their way into the game. Husband pushed off the footy by Grozowski. Handball to Bennett was terrific. She intended to get it onto Hamilton Smith, but it was chopped off by East. Kick from Cox now for space. Foot race. Nannet and Franklin. Franklin wins out. The feed's good to Smith. Smith's tracking wide. Bullis provides a very good contest in the end because it's probably Jess Cox's ball to win. Long and high, and Germanis working from behind. She gets the kick away. She's done just enough, and that's what we're talking about, those handling areas. Good ball in. Germanis very fleet of foot. I think she's got a different set of coloured boots on today. She loves her colours and certainly was able to pull this one over and through. She's been a very dangerous forward. That was neat and tidy work in the end from the Tigers.
She's been a goal kicker the last few weeks as well.
Oh,
She's been
very, very dangerous. She's very fleet of foot. She's closing speed's very good too, and her ability to win a one-on-one is very high for a player that is quite light in frame.
Kicked 2 goals against South Fremantle and 2 goals against East Fremantle, and now the first of today as well. So the youngsters come into the middle here for Swans. Naira Anderson's there, Dana East alongside Michaela Bowen. They'll be roving to Wilstrup, who gets her opportunity in the ruck and jumps early and wins it nicely towards East. So clean with the hands. Gives it off to Bowen, and there is Anderson. So the 4 of them combine. Anderson will have a second opportunity after the smother. Off to Baker on the wing. Back inside to Anderson. They've worked this very nicely here, Swan Districts, and the kick is superb. Hitting up Bushby. That came from Gibson. Too far out here, young Abigail Bushby. Won't miss her today with the fluoro yellow boots on. Good long kick. Gets a lot of depth on the kick, right to the top of the goal square. The ball sits up. Ortlick couldn't take it. Stribley, soccer kick from Graskowski was blocked. Bennett knocked off the football. Desperate for it here, Swan Districts. The kick goes a little bit wide from Ugal Hayward. It stays in the field of play. And Claremont should clear. That kick down the line a little untidy. Jazzy Stewart gets across, can't get to it. And Ortlick just claps her hands in a bit of disappointment. Normally pretty tidy with her use of the football, but that one missing the target as a result. We get a boundary throw in, and we do like to highlight good footy from everyone, Deggs, and this boundary umpire has been getting them in deep and high in the first few minutes of this game, and that's another fantastic throw in.
I appreciate the hat too. Man after my own heart, and Emily Bennett gets the wrong side of this footy as she tries to clear under pressure, and it's out of bounds on the full. Kick goes to Michaela Bowen. Andy Payne standing her mark. Kicks a good one to Bushby again. I like the fact that they just don't look at faces, these Swan Districts players. They just hit the same jumper. So that with Kelly Gibson. East has a snap smothered by Sophie McDonald as Ella Smith works Claremont out of defence. Intercepting here is Osborne. Seen this once or twice. She fumbles the ball to Emily Maguire. Let's call it on purpose. To Hardy through her hands. Pressure now. They've held their width, and Gelmy should be able to clear. Well, she comes back inside the corridor. Handballs to herself. Bit of Barry Cable action. And she actually turns it over to Ella Smith, who eventually takes the safety. Game speeding up again. Andy Payne receives this neat little pass. Starting to open up in front of her now. She looks down the line. It's 3v1. Osborne over the top with the spoil. To Jess Cox. Fumble from Anderson works well for Cox again. And this time, Bushby finds herself under the football ahead of the game. She's playing centre half forward, the young player. She's played a couple of league games now. She just assesses what's going on. Umpire's calling the play on. It's a shallow kick into Stribley. This will suit Bennett. Goes past both those players. East crashes in, knows no other way. Grosowski having a rest in the ruck. Up forward. Soccer off the ground towards Stribley. She'll be too fast for Bennett. And her kick is a good one. She's pulled it around the corner. She's pulled it too far. It's gone across, and it's not out of bounds, actually. We've got it in the hands of... Is that Bree Hyde?
It is.
And Bree Hyde has run around and kicked the snagger. Well done, Swan Districts. Bree Hyde likes to play... Well, she likes to play the whole game. She doesn't like to come off the ground. She certainly played the whistle then. She was the only one that was awake to the fact that that ball wasn't going to go out. In the end, a terrific finish from Bree Hyde. 1 each.
thought Stribley's work was outstanding. The kick looked good off the boot.
It was going in.
Excited. The breeze must have just, whatever small amount of breeze there is here, just grabbed the footy and drifted it across the face.
Can't see the live call, but we both did the old Xbox trying to get the Mario Kart round the corner.
That's it. Good start this game of footy. Claremont have owned the field position for the majority of the time, but Swans making the most of their opportunities inside 50 in the last minute or two.
Kelly Gibson lowering her vision and connecting with a second gamer in Abby Bush is a great sign for the Swan District Football Club and how they're working together.
Always good to bring the youngsters into the play, particularly talented ones like Bushby. Coronova gets her second centre clearance of the game to the advantage of her teammate there at half forward in Scanlon. Now White becomes a tackler for Claremont. Scanlon comes through again. Hard footy to be won, and Mel Hardy doesn't mind these situations. Straightens up and goes straight down the middle after winning the footy. Towards half forward, Ortlip being hassled, taken by Webb. Swans look dangerous. They've got plenty of space up forward. Graskowski let this one run on. Bushby had a chance. She was just nudged out the way nicely. And Claremont do clear. The kick from Pugh gets over the back. Baker first back onto it. A little fumble. Lets her opponent in pain in. Anderson comes in, or Hayward instead. Knocks it towards Anderson. 2-on-1 in Swan's favour. So Anderson wants to rip the footy out. Did it well. Now there's a wrestle for this one. Kat Bennett jars it free. White with a hand pass to Scanlon. Just dropped the footy too far out in front of the toe, and as a result only got the end of the boot onto it. Cox is caught and spun in the tackle. Just got a hand pass away though. Through comes Hardy off to Breehide, the goal kicker. Sends them long, backing back courageously. The Tigers let it get over the back. Opportunity for Edwards perhaps. She's hassling McDonald, loses the footy. Stribley's lurking as well. Ball comes out in the Tigers. Ooh. They're holding up at least. No, holding the ball. Tough call. Almost just fumbled to ground, but it'll be holding the ball against Sargent. And the free kick will go in the way of Stribley.
And just looking into the Swans box when Stribley did that tackle inside 50, I think the forward coach and the midfield coach and the head coach will be very happy with her defensive work at the front end.
So she had a running shot from a similar position a few minutes ago. This one a set shot. She'll be a little bit closer in. Normally the kicking skills are a feature of her game. How does she stand up under the pressure here? Stands up very well, kicks nicely. And Swans have responded after Claremont got the first goal. It's Swan Districts with 2 on the board now through Hyde, that's Bree Hyde, and also Stribley responding to the goal from Dumanis. And we've got a very good game of footy early, Degs.
Yep, Swans making the most of their sort of control of play, so that obviously the game goes this way and that. All the momentum early with the Tigers, got the one snag, and momentum just sort of swung towards the Swans for the moment, and they're capitalising. Stribley got her hand in both of those two. So it's time for Claremont to respond again. Good solid unit. They're stretched out beautifully across the ground. They look to have their A-grade midfield in too. So to be husband. Skrosky back in the ruck after some time up forward. Kelly Gibson scrapping inside. Gets it to Cox. Cox kick long towards Edwards. Takes the mark on the chest. Controlling play. This is Michaela Hyde. Takes it neatly in front of her eyes. Good pressure from Hamilton Smith. Long ball in towards... Oh, I was going to call for Welsher at the back, but it was beautifully done by Bushby at the front. Little handball over the top. It's very clever to Webb, and Webb has a flying shot. There's not enough curl on this one, or it bounces towards the square. Jasmine Stewart under pressure. Pressuring her in front. There's a couple of different Swans. Her kick's going to go out of bounds. Kelly Gibson's played this game before, and she lets that run over so she can take the freebie.
Very smart there. Could have easily collected the football, but would have been under pressure, and she knew that ball was just going to escape the 50-metre arc. So free kick to Swans. Puts it to a very dangerous position. Stewart has to stand underneath it. Reading it well, Edwards. Bounced didn't favour her though. McDonald good enough to clear. Bushby worked away in front of her opponent in Bennett. Quick kick. It's touched on the line, and will it? Yes, it just sneaks over the line. Swans doing their best to keep it alive, but couldn't do so. First behind of the game to the Black and Whites, and their lead is out to 7 points. We're inside the last 3 minutes of this first quarter.
Jasmine Stewart is all by herself on the far side of the ground. The kick goes there after the play on from Ortlip. She looks to connect further afield, but chopping the ball off nicely on the far side. Swan Districts. Ball into this corridor, or equally nicely done by Laura Pugh. It's going to bring Mel Hardy back into the game. The play that delivered that forward. Little cough up into the corridor, goes towards Bullis. Hamilton Smith, kick under pressure. She's bumped as she kicked.
Got the apology as well from Graskowski straight away.
I think Graskowski tried to catch her before she hit the ground. Some of that might have been trying to avoid the reload free kick. Meanwhile, Maddie Scanlon's played herself a 50. She'll have to come back behind the mark. Been a good player for Claremont so far this year, and that kick there is a feature of her game. Nice and long and raking towards White. First hands on it and first to recover. Keeps her feet, but the pressure comes now. As there will be all day today, that fierce pressure. And there'll be a ball up on the far side.
Like how Jamie Henry's not intimidated by the name she's playing against or the size of the player. She just took on Brooke White. She took on Goodwin Wissink earlier as well, and she managed to halve both of those contests. Osborne's kick was smothered. Jess Lowe working hard, as she always does, in the middle of the pack. Osborne, the second effort. That's a feature of her game as well. Gibson tried to put toe to the footy. Couldn't quite do so, and we'll get it balled up again. It's pretty tight in those clinches here this afternoon. Fantastic day for footy. Some concern this morning whether the announcement from the government might be that there might not be any football this afternoon, but we've got our football back again. And it's good to see these girls had to sit and wait around last weekend. Some of them have been waiting for a while, the AFLW season having finished a little while ago, particularly for the Eagles side of things. And the State 19s girls had a rest after their carnival as well. Claremont go forward, and Brooke White just responded quickly to that kick. She's deep in the right forward pocket, so this will take her absolute best effort. They've got a 2-on-2 in the goal square if she wants to get on quickly, but she's looked like she's going to go back and have a set shot.
She's always been a good kicker of the football, but I reckon she's kicking the ball better this year than any other year she's played.
It's a tight angle, so we'll see what she's capable of from here. Strikes it well. Goal umpire does a lot of work away to his left, and in fact, it's the boundary umpire who ends up getting involved. She's signalled it's out of bounds on the full. So
once again, lovely kick, and I reckon she's got 5 to 10 more metres on her distance so far this season. A little relieving kick to Nanette, bit of run and carry for her. Kicks long to Webb, who just reads that beautifully against Dyke, and probably outpointed Bree Hyde there too, who left it for her. Goes over Edwards' head. The reliable defender, Ortlap, knows exactly what she's doing as we hear the siren to end the first quarter of what was a very entertaining game of footy. Swan Districts 2 goals, 1 lead the Tigers, 1 pretty evenly balanced game. If we had a look at the numbers, you'd imagine that they'd be very similar. Inside 50 count, inside tackle 50 count, marking and disposal would be very even across the quarter.
Yeah, probably the Tigers owned the first half of the quarter and Swans the second, and they made more of their opportunities late in the term, and as a result they lead by 7 points. Goals to Bree Hyde and Stribley for Swan Districts. Durmanis kicked the first of the game for Claremont, and as a result it's the visitors by 7 points. They're undefeated, they're on top of the table, looking to protect that record here this afternoon, and at quarter time they're 7 points up in your match of the day here thanks to Front Row Screens.
3, 1, go!
Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple. Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple.
quarter time here at Revo Fitness Stadium, Claremont Oval, and the Tigers, the home side, looking to beat Swans for the first time in 3 attempts this season, but they trail at quarter time. They kicked the first goal, but Swans responding with a couple of their own. They lead by 7 points at quarter time. The Black and Whites, who have won 8 straight to start this season, and a win today would put them well and truly in the box seat to take out the minor premiership here this season. As we look at some of the highlights from the first quarter, Dave Lindsay and Clint Degger, your commentary team this afternoon, and it's been a very entertaining start to this match, Degs. The skill level's been high, the intensity's been good, and it's what we expected with so many high-quality players coming back into WAFLW here this afternoon.
Big fan of front row screens too. Their first 2 highlights were defenders intercepting and bouncing out of fullback. Rachel Ortlett and Liza Joey played a lot of footy against each other over the years, and some with each other at state audience level a number of years ago now, probably 7 years ago now. Now, very entertaining game, fast ball movement, skills are on show, lots of pressure around the ball, and I imagine we're just going to get faster and faster this game, particularly as they may be tired towards the end of the third quarter. We should really see some slingshot footy.
Some of these highlights, Abigail Bushby, first time I've seen her today. She started very nicely. Tigers have had a few winners out there as well. And Tara Stribley, who's had a very close shot on goal that just missed, that actually ended up being a goal assist, not intentionally. That was the goal there to Bree Hyde, and then Stribley earning herself a shot on goal again a moment or two later thanks to a tackle, which is not something that's normally a feature of a game, but she was pretty happy with that. There wasn't any crowd down there, but she was giving me the little John O'Brien into the fans behind the boundary fence. It's always good when, I'm sure Coach Dancy encourages her to get involved in the physical stuff, and she's rewarded and then gets the goal as well. So there's a bit of immediate response for her, and you can see there Adam Dancy just having a final couple of messages to his charges before they head out there for the second quarter, and I'm sure he'd be pretty pleased with what he's seen so far.
Yep, and he'd be saying to them, can't win the game in the first quarter. You've got to build pressure across the journey. So he'll be imploring his players to stick to their planning. A very communicative coach, very connected with his players. We didn't mention Jackie Shorts. Didn't get to see what he was doing inside the box over there. Of course, Andrew Delaredo back from his duties with West Coast Eagles for his second game. That he's obviously been in charge of the program, but second game as the live head coach. Pretty good coaching panel down there, both sides. Do
you think we'll see the Swannies girls dancing when they come out after half-time like we did a few weeks ago at East Fremantle Oval?
I think they've done it each time they've come out.
Right.
Yep. After the half. When I've watched them play, they've done it every time. I think it's just one of those things where you just got to come out of the box. You need to just shake yourself, a bit of energy into yourself after receiving your instructions and sitting down for a little while. So it's working. I reckon if it works, you keep it.
Good crowd in here today as well. You can hear a lot of noise in our effects mic coming from the grandstand beneath us. Probably the Western Derby being called off as far as spectators are concerned. A lot of encouraged a few to come out and watch the footy here and then go home and watch the second half on TV, the Western Derby. So good news for WAFL women as we're about to get started in the second quarter. The Tigers will go to the right of your screen this time towards the railway end. There's no real breeze to speak of here this afternoon. And they'd like to start this second quarter the same way they started the first. Maybe this time get a bit more value on the scoreboard than they did for their dominance in the first 8 or 9 minutes of the game. But Swans should get the first clearance here. Michaela Hyde pops it up towards Webb. Another hand pass trying to connect with Gibson. Almost threw it on the boot before she received the football there. And Claremont, as a result, might sneak away with this one. Hamilton Smith uses the outside of the boot. White pushing up from half forward, does very well. Spins away from Henry, kicks to the advantage of Franklin. Well, it was the advantage until the bounce got involved. That gave Nannett a chance, and that's all she needed. Put the hand pass into a dangerous area, though. Socket forward by Bullis. Valentini's hand pass was too hot for Payne to handle. Now she's got problems. Gibson doesn't mind this sort of situation and did enough just to worry her opponent out. Baker lost the footy, possibly in the tackle. Now has to go back and get it. Osborne supportive as always. Hand pass to Bowen. And now the Eagles combine. Gibson puts it up towards half forward. Edwards has it knocked away from her by Pugh, but then fires up with a very strong tackle. And that would please the Swans coaching staff as well. Their forwards putting a lot of pressure on and keeping the ball locked in their attacking half.
And hitting up as well. So the Swans forwards are really hitting up at the footy and providing a contest when it spills to ground. This ruck tap's going to Gibson, whose kick is smothered. Another tap from Krasowski. Just low working inside, but a handball's chopped off again by the ruckman, who's just popped this ball forward. And Welstra has timed her jump beautifully. Hits her in the breadbasket. And as a rule, she's a good straight kick of the football. This one is no exception. So Sarah Wellstra gets herself on the board as a deep forward. They do like her as a forward. Wonderful little surge pressure. Started with Gibson just pushing the ball forward. 2 efforts from Grozowski to get the ball towards Wellstra, who finished the job nicely for the Swans. And that's 3 goals now, the Swannies, 1 point. Just the 1 goal, the Tigers. So nothing to panic about just yet, but the Tigers would like to stay in touch, I'd suggest.
Got some good tools, haven't they? Bella Edgley broke a finger or a thumb a few weeks ago towards the end of the State 19s program. Couldn't travel with the team to Melbourne, but they've got Wellstra. Grozowski does a good job each and every time you see her. We're missing Sarah Lakay today, but there's some good tools at play in the middle and forward for Swans. Taylor Edwards we saw just before as well, making a good lead and then following up with a tackle as well.
Special mention to the brother of Ebony Antonio throwing that ball up in the middle, John.
Claremont working it out this time. Bullis to Payne. Has Bennett running off half back. Payne gives the Shepherd as well. Bennett out in front of Valentini. Has Osborne watching her closely. And Lauren Osborne, the ultimate professional, just does her job each and every week for Swans. Mentioned earlier she's never missed a game in the WAFLW. Very durable player, very clever behind the footy at half back. Grozowski with the tap. Smith roving, slammed into the turf by Cox. She didn't like that much, Smith. Gave her a bit of a shove afterwards. Taken here by Stewart. Didn't strike that perfectly, but it's gone to a very good position, and Hamilton Smith took the mark. White could have taken it. Hamilton Smith did instead. Hyping under it with her kick. To Madison from the side. Here's Osborne again under pressure, loses the football. Stewart charges through, opens up the door for Demanis, and she's deadly in front of goal. She's got the Tigers only 2 goals here this afternoon, but Claremont's response is swift. We've got a goal either way to start the second quarter, back to the 7-point margin that we had at quarter time, Dex.
Neat ball movement again. Swannies get their goal out of some surge work. Jasmine Stewart gets the ball going forward. It wasn't the kick that she tried, but worked perfectly. Thought Germanis probably chopped off Amy Franklin there, which was slightly against her role in terms of being a ground specialist, but then of course she was able to get the ground ball out the back. Fleet of foot and dangerous. Once she gets goal side, she really can hurt you. It's great from the Tigers, great footy. Back in the middle of the ground again. Jono Antonio won't be throwing this one up. Ball in the air. Grozowski again. Neat jump. No clear winner. Bowen on the ground. Takes one in the head. Play on. Gets it again. Trying to work the ball towards her wings. Going off the ground was Bullis clever. Ricochets off Payne, and Bullis gets a second crack with her opposite foot. Mel Hardy read it best. And that is neat work from a small player overhead. Just led Germanis in this case to the footy. She connects with a wobbler towards Bowen. She plays on quickly looking for the corridor. She pulls a kick at the last minute. Unfortunately, Garanova chops it off. Then runs away from Brehard. Garanova deep entry. Looking for Franklin. It's over the back with Nanette. Franklin to put pressure on now. Flips out a beautiful handball to Bowen. Tries to connect with Osborne. Kick down the line to East. Mark Pade. It's got time just to settle, take a breath. Looks inside, or inside on 45, and Grozowski rolls.
And that's a good kick into a really dangerous position here. Swans on the burst through Henry. A little bit untidy with hers, but it should work out okay. Bushby and Ugle Hayward. Ugle Hayward's got some speed, wants to come back inside. Off to Bushby. How's the finish? Pretty good. No, fading left. Great build-up. Ugle Hayward came in with the high 10 anyway, but a behind for Swans. I reckon that all starts there with the work from M. Nanette in defence against Franklin. We look at that matchup and you think Franklin should have it covered in most one-on-one contests. This kick back out has not been effective, and here's a big opportunity for Swans. One person you don't want to be passing the football to is Michaela Hyde if you've got a Claremont jumper on when you're about 30 metres out from goal. She was number 2 on the goal kicking a couple of years ago in the first season of WAFLW. Hasn't kicked so many since then, but her role has changed a bit. Well, she's let me down there. That's not her best effort, but Wellstra almost made it good. The 2 Tigers just dreaming a little bit in the pocket, thinking that ball was dead, but Wellstra, I don't think she ever thinks any footy is dead. She has a crack at anything within her area and nearly pulled it off. So boundary throw-in instead.
Super competitive. Really good to watch her play too. She'll get a chance in the ruck here against Matilda Dyke. Shoves her under the footy. Takes it, laces out. Hands off to Michaela Hyde, who chops it towards Bushby. She's been asked to be a tall forward on a couple of occasions today. Laura Pugh, very clever. She handballs the ball violin style over her shoulder, and now we've connected with Lowe. Sophie McDonald's worked up the ground. She can't take this one with a one hand. Under pressure now. Swan's trying to surge forward through Henry. Kick comes into the corridor. Favours Maguire, but the bounce didn't. In fact, the bounce didn't favour anybody in the end. Handball randomly forward by Tigers. Picked up by Henry to Hyde again. In the hands of Maguire under pressure now. Ball spills backwards. Franklin with a bit of clear space in front. She kicks quickly. Gelmy has been doing this for a long time in a couple of different competitions, WAFLW and the WAFL. And she's usually pretty good in these one-on-one situations. Speaking of one-on-one situations, Lauren Osborne.
Yep, had her name written all over that one. Doesn't lose too many of those contests. Sets up Bree Hyde. Good hard running here from Ugal Hayward, although then she lets herself down, dropping the chest mark. Claremont had 3 players waiting if she made the mistake. Stewart's hand pass forces Lowe to fetch it a little bit. She couldn't reel it in. The Hydes combine nicely. Bree Hyde smothered though. Claremont another chance. Scanlon a hand pass off. Hamilton Smith's kick was affected by the tackle of Bree Hyde. And Maguire setting up well behind the ball as always. Now Michaela Hyde inside. Cox really makes Kat Bennett earn that one. And that'll be a free kick. But I don't think Swans will mind that too much. Slows it down and Kat Bennett might have a little look next time when the ball's sitting on top of her head.
Been pretty aggressive today, Cox.
Certainly has.
I don't reckon chop of the arms quite summed up what happened then. Low, off hands of Goodwin Wisink. Ball ricocheting her off shins now. Worked out towards Scanlon. Doesn't take the footy, but she's taken the tackle. Bianca Webb is able to pick that up with one grab below her knees. And her kick really does favour the run of Kelly Gibson. Rachel has rounded her up, really aware of how Kelly Gibson can hurt when she gets in front of the footy. Sophie McDonald, another little fumble. Goes off the ground now. She kicks that towards the boundary line and it will go just in. And she steps over the line eventually. Interesting play. Tigers just a bit fumbly at the moment.
I think they have been throughout this match. There's been 3 or 4 chances where a chest mark's been dropped, and if it hadn't, they would have been in business.
A couple of those handballs, like you called, asking a lot of the receiver, and then it's just breaking down play. Claremont set up beautifully in those last couple of plays to be able to travel the ball really well.
Swans a chance here. Henry, bit up and up with this kick towards half forward. Payne missed it. And crash her way through there for the Tigers with Stewart. Great ground ball pick up from Swan Districts. That was East. A real feature of her game. But Claremont just having the extra numbers around this football. Sargent's hand pass makes it tough again for Bullis. Dragged off her kick. Swan's still a chance. Cox is wrapped up this time by Payne. That's a good tackle. Cox has been the one dishing out the physical pressure throughout the first quarter and a half, but that time had to ride a tackle and did it pretty well. Wilstra nicely down to Anderson. Boots a ball quickly towards the hot spot. Spoilers made. East roving is good. She's been dangerous in front of goals for Swans this year, and she's just about got it there again. Graskowski tried to reel it in, but Pugh just controlled the football and slaps it through for a rush behind. 3-3 plays 2 straight. We're into the back half of the second quarter.
Talking about professional defenders, Laura Pugh, Rachel Ortlett, Liza Gelmy, Lauren Osborne. Meanwhile, Wellstra attacks this footy, gets a bit of shin on this one. It could bounce over. It's in Graskowski's hands and she just kicks it straight into the goal umpire's feet. Apologises as she goes to get some 10s. Wonderful play by Graskowski on the line. It was just fantastic opportunity. That's both ruckmen have got snags now from just doing some good old-fashioned forward craft in the goal square.
Well, how's the bounce there against the Tigers' deep in defence? It's not what you're on wanted, but you could see it happening even before the ball hit the deck. I don't think Wilstra actually meant it, but it's one of those ones as a defender, you know what's about to happen. There's nothing you can do.
You just wish you were about 3 feet taller so you get a finger on it, but that run on bounce and jumped over. And, as a defender, you do everything right, and you get horribly burnt.
So Swans 2-1 in this quarter as they did in the first. We've still got 7 minutes to run in this second quarter, so the Tigers need to respond again. Starting in the middle, a goal kick up Wilstra. Stewart now wants her left side, beat 2 tackles, then hand pass straight into Cox. Nicely done though by Stewart to fight on again, slapping it forward. Bree Hyde misses with the hand pass, but recovers her own football. And then cleverly straightens up and delivers nicely to East. Dana East starting to get involved the last couple of minutes. Goes straight up the pipe towards full forward. Graskowski is there. Dyke brings it to ground. Wins the footy. Stands up in the tackle. Stribley wanted to knock it into space. I think the umpire might have to get involved here to separate them. We'll see a ball up just inside the arc here. Swans by 15.
A new footballer that's listing in, Taylor Degebrot, debuted yesterday out at Quinn's Auskick.
No relation?
No relation. She's tuned into the call today to see these ladies do their business. And I guess at 5 years old, where she could be in the next 10 years as a footballer. Emily Maguire searching for Michaela Hyde. Steps inside immediately. Long ball in. It's going to favour Grozowski. She can't take the catch under pressure from Matilda Sargent. And Bennett will relieve to space for the Tigers. First back there was Baker, but Bullis just taps it forward. She's gained about 40 metres without a possession. Terrific play from the midfielder, the two midfielders that have worked deep back. Claremont now stretching out in front of the football. Handball is good to Payne. She has a good look around. She knows she can run. Brooke White's pointing where she wants it. The kick goes towards her. Can she finish the catch? She cannot. Jamie Henry's really strong ball running towards the goal square. The kick off the ground was missed by Goodwissink, and she is set upon by Swans defenders. Not an enviable place to be once you fumble in the Swans back line.
Didn't Henry do a good job there again? Just did enough.
Just got that shoulder into her and just put that physical pressure on.
Goodwin Wissing's a good person to have in the ruck in this situation, and she rammed it straight down the throat of Jazzy Stewart, who was already on her left side, and that would have been something I reckon Coach Dancy would have seen and thought, oh, it's almost Tom Hawkins in the forward 50 for Geelong. Let's have a look at this. Goodwin Wissing opposed to Jelmy, and she just gets the body in there, creates the space, and Stewart doesn't need more than a split second to put boot to ball. And that was nicely worked by Claremont.
Her hand to foot speed has always been terrific for Jasmine Stewart, and she's only got better and better as she's developed into a very consistent player at AFLW level for Fremantle, where she did become a goal kicker this year, used as a small forward throughout the AFLW season. And be loving having her back today. The Tigers big jump from both rucks. Ball's free in the square. Bowen first, gives it back to the ruck and pulls this ball over her shoulder, asking a lot of Stribley against Sargent. Ball carries both those to Edwards. Edward feigns the handball once, which gave Stribley some space. The give was terrific. The flying shot towards goal. Will Welstra catch it? No. Slides across the face. And I think Sarah was caught in between two minds. Should I mark this or should I shepherd it through? And in the end, it's behind to Tara Stribley, who's just really starting to threaten the scoreboard now.
I reckon we're seeing a lot smarter footballers playing WAFLW at the moment as well. Edwards just delaying that hand pass to the right time. They want the football in their hands. They want to make a good decision. They're not just giving it as soon as they pick up the football because they don't really want it in their hands anymore. And as a result, the quality of the football is improving all the time. Henry talked her up all day today, and that's good delivery, juggling and marking. Hugo Hayward. Henry has stood up extremely well. She's playing against a stalwart of WA women's football, and she's matched her nicely this afternoon. And now Hugo Hayward, who's been dangerous, can get another goal here for Swans. Deliberate approach, sets it well out to the right. It's not coming back from there. Look out at the back, big leap from Wilstra. Again, never out of the contest. Stribley keeps it in, gives it back to Wilstra. Almost went to try to kick that over her own head. Baker mops up well, kicks deep to the goal line, but look, playing that role of the goalkeeper, and she's aware of the 9-metre rule. Immediately tells her opponent to get back and then delivers nicely to Bennett in the back pocket.
Emily Bennett, let's have a good look around. The ground is beautifully covered off. Rebound protection was terrific from the Swans. I have to say the defensive setup was also very good from the Tigers. Tara Stribley threatened on the lead, and she was immediately set upon by a couple of different Tigers who were zoned off. Valentini, meanwhile, she skips her. It's in the hands of Bowen. Bowen will go long and deep. Best representation down there is Hugo Hayward. She can't quite get hold of the footy. Matilda Sargent to Rachel Ortlep, and she's happy to step it over the line. 3 Claremont defenders there, and just that extra penetration on that kick nearly caused an issue for the Tigers. Dyke.
Short on the way out to Dyke. He's had her problems in defence today. Swans forwards have been dangerous. This kick just a little shallow, but Smith makes it good. Just worked Bushby underneath the football and judged it better than anyone. Good delivery inside, although the two Tigers weren't sure who was going to go for that one. In the end, Kat Bennett did. Goranova might have got a shove. She dived for the try line. No free kick. Osborne's hand pass nearly back to Goranova. Swans just popping it around in tight. Gibson wants to barge her way through. She was wrapped up. The umpire says that's a dangerous tackle. The two umpires not too sure initially which way it was going, but it's going to go the way of Kelly Gibson. Gibson wants to play on. She wants to go corridor. And it's a good area to go to. Wilstra couldn't take it this time. McDonald at the back for Claremont. Bit of holding on and she'll get the free kick. Winding down towards half time. Just 75 seconds remaining if the Tigers can switch it to the other end of the ground.
They do that just as cool. This is Sargent, one bounce. Very fit player for a big, long pre-season campaign with the Dockers. Kick from Goranova to a dangerous space. First there, Osborne. Can't quite gather it on the first grab. Or the second. Bennett comes in now and sits on her. Kick from Scanlon's good. Brooke White's virtually unopposed. She just has to settle here. Henry's chasing her down. She steps inside. Henry won't be stepped. Forces the handball, which brings some support to her. Jamie Henry again in a one-on-one against a very experienced player. Has done pretty well. Yet it's in the hands of Scanlon. She goes back to Bennett, who's a long kick. She punts it long. Only representation is Swans, and Maguire is able to take the safety in the goal square.
Well, Testamenis was all alone about 20 metres out, and she wasn't seen. It was one Swan against two Tigers, and the kick went right to the Swan District's player. And now Swans with about 15 seconds to run the length of the field. Ugle Hayward's about to be run down. Did it okay. Scott's on the bounce. Will she pick up? She leaves it for Anderson. Good option. Anderson's kick smothered though by Goranova. And that might be enough for Claremont to make sure there's no more damage on the scoreboard. Ball in dispute in the middle of the ground. As the siren sounds to end a thoroughly entertaining first half of football. There's some tired players out there. A lot of players down to their haunches just trying to catch their breath. It's been played at a pretty breakneck speed in this first half. Swans 9 scoring shots to 3 digs, but they only lead by 11 points. They've certainly been the better team so far, but Claremont haven't been blown away.
No, not at all. And Claremont just have to fix a couple of the little ball handling issues. Maybe weight the handball just a little better. They did weight the ball really well early in the first quarter. Just a little bit rushed, a little bit hard with the hand. So I think that'll be just a bit of a breathing exercise that the Tigers will go through in the rooms. You didn't fumble. You're a clean player. You're just fumbling because your concentration's not just quite there, or your footwork's not quite right. So they'll reset that, and they can be really damaging on the way back out. But Swans, of course, they're not going to go anywhere. Didn't mention either, Taylor actually kicked 3 goals on debut.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. Call that to my little niece who started playing her football journey at her local Auskick Centre. That's terrific, and mention that too because we've got a game coming out here. The Nippers will come out. They're getting a big round of applause. A female, it's a junior game, isn't it? Or mods?
Youth mods, whatever you like to call them. They'll be out there having a run around.
You can see them coming out now.
To the Claremont Junior Footy Club, I reckon.
You might be Claremont versus Claremont. Fantastic applause for these girls to come out and play. Game at half-time, love it.
Well, the old Little League, good to see. Swans lead it here at half-time by 11 points, 4-5-29 to Claremont, 3 straight 18. We'll come back with some of the highlights and talk about the first half after these messages here on Front Row Screens.
Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple. Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple.
Little League Waffle Women's, great to see Claremont Junior Footy Club, and I think there might be a few Wembley girls out there as well. I've got the navy blue socks on, the jumpers turned inside out. And the girls are having a great time out there. Junior footy starting again this weekend here in WA. All the kids were out on the fields yesterday and today. And I don't reckon, Degs, let's say 10 years ago, we ever would have dreamed we would have had Little League Waffle Women's football.
I think the dream was there, but would have expected that to have come true within 10 years? No. It's been wonderful work by a lot of people initially volunteering and lots of goodwill, and of course now with the AFL and the Footy Commission putting a bit more time and a bit more effort into female football. It's one of those things that's just exploding and will continue to as long as it keeps getting its attention.
And the reason why we have Little League football at halftime in a Waffle Women's match is because of these highlights that we're seeing right now. It's a high standard game of football. The top two teams in the league coming into this round, Swan District's unbeaten, Claremont's only 2 losses this year, coming against the Black and Whites. And it's been a match that sort of reflects that. They've been pretty evenly matched, although Swans just creating a few more opportunities up forward and taking a couple more. They probably could be a little bit further in front as well. Swan District's leading by 11 points at the long break. What have you liked out there in the first half, Dex?
I've liked most things. I like the ball movement. I like the way that Claremont and Swan Districts are overlapping by handball. Both teams are intercept marking and hitting the switch immediately. Both teams are taking their shots. It's very different. It's very as you said, sort of 10 years ago. The idea that the ball can slingshot from end to end and get result in a ruck tap to a left foot snap. That type of stuff is just wonderful to see. So there's a couple of players that are really off the chain in this game, which is terrific. But I just thought at half time I might just say X Factor time.
X Factor
time.
Yeah.
I think if Claremont win this, Matilda Sargent goes on the ball and Jacinta Valentini starts to get on the scoreboard. I think that she's the one that can be the difference of the obvious focal points down the front. Germanis is very dangerous. Gildan Wissing hasn't got a snag yet, but she's provided some good hit up and some good contests, and she got involved in a couple of score assists. But I think it's a player like Valentini that can get off the chain here, go under the radar. She's got a big long kick. She's pretty clean below her knees, so she's the player that needs to step up. But I definitely would throw Sargent on the ball so they can connect with her in the box. And I think for Swannies, it's Webb. I think Bianca Webb can have a big impact on this game from here. She's super fast and super fit. She kicks the ball nicely, and she can get off the chain and add to some really good players that are performing well for Swans. It's going to make it very difficult for the Tigers.
Really like the clean work in the air from Mel Hardy today. She's caught them nicely above her head. 2 or 3 occasions has been prepared to leave her opponent and attack the ball in the air and taking very strong marks. And the girls have just connected well. We can see a bit of this here from Swans. Bree Hyde and Maguire does such a good job behind the football every week for Swans. Michaela Hyde's kicking, usually a feature. She missed a goal. There's Jess Cox, who has decided to be the aggressor for most of the afternoon.
She had Angry Bix for breakfast this morning. She's become the anvil.
And Sarah Wilstra, we love watching her play footy. She's in every contest, and in most contests that you think she's out of as well, she gets involved somehow and just keeps the ball alive for Swan Districts. And as I mentioned during the call, they're tall brigade that play in the ruck and forward. So much variety there. They're different shapes and sizes. They offer different things. And this is that ruck work we spoke about. Goodwin Wissing just ramming it straight down the throat of Stewart. And Stewart would have enjoyed that. You don't mind being Rover when you get someone who just can pop it straight into your bread basket, and particularly 10 metres out from goal.
Yeah, nice spot for a left-footed to be situated, particularly one as clean and as quick hand to foot as she is. Reserves in the background of this game, just going through their paces, but you've got live pictures of some mods footy in front of us now.
So some of these girls you would imagine in time to come might be prospects for the State Academy. So thanks to Kia, let's take a look at the work of the WA Female State Academy coach, Bo McDonald. He's been conducting so much work to strengthen the talent.
When I was very young, I grew up in a sporting family. Girls went to netball on Saturday in a Swan Districts. My uncle's a Gary Sidebottom. He played over 100 games at Swan Districts. My pop, Wally Sidebottom, played state football and also for Swan Districts. I didn't play football for Year 12 at the Upper Swan Junior Footy Club. I went down there in Year 12 and played in the under-18s, and I found myself at Swan Districts Colts the next year. And then the year after that, I was lucky enough to make it to the Brisbane Lions. In 2001, I think to be part of history was fantastic. I really remember getting a handball out to Vossi when he's kicked that goal from the boundary line, and I remember pushing over the contest. I think John Barnes was my opponent. When I seen Vossi flash past, I remember giving him the handball and sort of folding in behind him, and I was directly behind him, and he's kicked the ball and it's just gone through. And I remember running back to the centre, thinking, this isn't over. This is such a good football team we're playing against. There was no room to relax until that siren went.
And they've beaten the champs.
When I retired in 2008, I spent some time at the Brisbane Lions, assistant coaching role, worked behind the scenes in some welfare roles and some ruck coaching.
Would be his best attribute. We're really lucky to have support of fantastic sponsors like Kia, because they allow us to drive the game forward. Bo's been able to really drive female football, and our staff love driving the Kia cars. We've got staff that have since bought their own Kia cars as well, which is terrific. To have Kia as a sponsor to allow us to card our people, our equipment, and to basically power and drive what we're doing inside female football is terrific.
We're trying to drive a culture here within our academy group. We also want to produce WAFLW players and we also want to produce WAFLW players and
Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple.
3, 1, go!
Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple.
Pretty briefly, the TikToking.
Yeah,
That was going on.
Well, interesting. That was a short dance. Let's see what sort of impact that has in the third quarter. Didn't have quite as much time for a bit of a groove. Claremont players going into position, while Emily Maguire is just going to give the girls one more little instruction before they head back out there. And such a general for the lineup for Swans. Played every game of WAFLW since the competition started a couple of years ago.
Mel Hardy is still dancing her way off the ground as she comes towards the bench. We can't see that live on screen, but I can tell you she pulled a few moves just then. And Naomi Baker comes off with her magnificent big bright smile
And a wave.
to the commentary boxes. She knew we'd be watching what Mel Hardy was doing from where we are.
Don't want to say she's the happiest person in the world. I'm sure there's occasions, even though she's got the bright smile on, that she's not thrilled with something in the world, but she'd be pretty close to the happiest person
She's
going around.
pretty close to the nicest person I've ever worked with, male or female, in my career.
Yep.
Very grateful, very hardworking, very thankful person.
So it's back to the footy. Umpire holds the ball aloft. And it's an 11-point lead to Swan Districts. They're looking to protect this undefeated record. Graskowski wins in the ruck. Jess Lowe wants to get in the way and wins the football and turns them all around. And then the delivery is superb to Goodwin Wissick, just a little bit over her head. She might have just run underneath that one. Maguire, that's a dangerous kick, but gee, when it comes off, it's good. And Michaela Hyde has the football, wants to share it with Bowen, and they've opened up this broadcast side wing. Jamie Henry happy to run forward and receive. So impressive. Cops that bump. Solid from Bullis, but it works out well for Swans. Graskowski to Bree Hyde. What's her delivery like? Wants to give it to Wilstra, who wanted front position. McDonald couldn't get around her, and Wilstra takes the mark, and she can sink the slipper from this range. She's a chance. We've been impressed with her. She's going back as if she's got the distance in her legs. So Sarah Wilstra, 6 goals, 4 before today. Not her best kick this time. It nearly works out okay. Hugo Hayward was in good position. Couldn't complete the mark. Close to the boundary. Smith will need to get a touch on this. She doesn't. And as a result, the lasso from the boundary umpire, a half-hearted lasso. And maybe that's why. It's a push. Free kick going the way of Smith at half-back. McBowen would be disappointed to give that one away.
Smith tries to go close to the line. She was, but she was just on the wrong side. This is a Bronx cheer from the Swans bench, and it's in the hands of Michaela Hyde. In busy, kick to the top of 50, asking Webb to do the work. Ball's off Webb's hands. Michaela Bowen goes to soccer the ball at the last minute. Crashes, or almost kick trips Haley Borsover. And they have a little bit of the, obviously teammates at the West Coast Eagles, a little bit of a laugh and a little bit of pat on the back. Didn't mean to kick trip you. He says, that's all right. You're not that kind of person. Ball in. Boundary umpire has been terrific today. It's called earlier. Jasmine Stewart pulls that ball around the corner to White. Takes it on the second grab, which is just allows the Swans defence to really organise themselves. And it's Michaela Hyde who's the recipient of a long ball in. Welstra sitting behind. Sophie McDonald had the box seat, couldn't complete the mark off the ground. Naira Anderson gets it too close.
Love the work of East again. It sounds ridiculous, but the ability to pick the ball up off the ground, one grab, just changes the game, and she was the one there that was able to do it, and it broke it open for Swans. Now Bennett on the way back in. Kick doesn't hit the target. It's been marked by Hyde. Brianna Hyde inside to a 1-on-4. It was a good position for the football, but the numbers weren't in Swans' favour, although Claremont haven't been clean themselves here, and as a result, Edwards is able to hold this one up, and they'll get a ball up 30 metres out directly in goal, and that dig shows exactly what I was saying. Claremont had 4 players there. If someone picked it up clean, they were out.
Yeah, ball handling is an issue at the moment. Rachel up in the ruck, wins this one down, finds in the hands of East, trying to use her opposite foot. Naira Anderson corralled well by Sophie McDonald in this case, and the kick long and wide finds Bennett. Nice release from defence. Time for a breath, the Tigers. Just assesses what's ahead of her. There's really not much on except down the line. She does this now. Husband gets over the back of the whole pack. Husband does some bullocking work behind. In the end, she's shepherding for Osborne, who tosses this ball towards Bowen. She bounces it to Webb, leaves it behind, and we're going to get another stoppage on the far side. Pressure's going up. Claremont have just really collapsed in front of the footy now, so they don't really have anywhere to travel, and it's just playing into Swan's hands.
Just had some midfielders that ran into their forward space there as well. That meant that ball was never going to come out of defence. Another ball up, 50 out from goal.
There's an all-star running crew out there today.
They're all out there, aren't they? Bella Edgley doing some work for Swans in the pink as well. Bennett normally uses the ball pretty well. This one, not her best. Hyde should get in the way. Wins it. Michaela straightens up and then puts it back to that hot spot again. Pugh with the fist. It just skimmed off her knuckles. Edwards wants to fight on again. Good tackle on McDonald. Safely took her to ground as well to make sure she wasn't giving away a free kick. And again, causes the stoppage, and Swans get another opportunity in front of goal.
Hasn't Edwards been a really good find for the Swannies? A really pressure forward out of her, and she's kicked a few snags as well. This is Tara Stribley off the pack. She pulls it around the corner on her right foot. Sitting in the goal square is Anderson off her hands. She's first to recover, and she pulls it over her shoulder for a goal. Right footer. She just did a lot of bullocking work in the last couple of stanzas of play. Hats off to Michaela Hyde, who I think got 3 inside 50s herself as she patrolled the perimeter of the 50-metre line. She put the ball in, the pressure gathered, and Anderson was able to use her brains and her skills to kick the first of the quarter. Her first. And Swan District's 5 goals, 6. They've scored, taken 11 scoring shots, the Tigers, just the 3 for 3 straight.
And again, it was that work of Edwards, like you said, just the ability to hold things up, get another stoppage, and eventually the pressure becomes too much for the defence.
I don't think that many clubs would talk about Edwards in their prep, but I think she's a real weapon for the Swans, and I think the couple of players that Adam Dancy's used this year differently to how others have used, and he must have put a lot of faith in them because they really, really are gaining confidence, and they really, really do play their roles.
She seems to play taller than what she actually looks. She's good enough to compete in the air and bring it to ground, and then the fact that she is a little bit smaller.
I think she plays
fights
stronger
really
than
well.
she looks too.
Oh, absolutely. So Goranova gets a free kick. She was tackled by the leg and then uses it well. Valentini, this is your X factor, Degs. She's got the pink boots on. Needs to put them on show now. The kick is okay. Scanlon does well, feeds it back to Hamilton Smith, but they're all going deep in that right forward pocket. And as a result, they run out of space, and it's out of bounds on the full.
Right foot tip.
Gelmy to bring it back in. Hamilton Smith misjudged that. The Swan Districts player showing much better judgment was Bowen, and her kick, despite being spun in the tackle, was effective. And it's Brianna Hyde. And again, Swans want to come inside. The kick wasn't hitting a target, but Baker's good enough to mop it up. Off to Bowen. Hand pass didn't help Henry too much. Stewart goes to ground. Henry stands up from the ground contest. Got a hand pass away. Swan's good enough to stand up in tackles, and Bree Hyde does it well. Off to Cox. Into space now. It's a foot race. Graskowski and Stewart. Stewart just used the hands to try to get Groskowski out the way, but she was going nowhere. And we'll have a ball up on the wing. Claremont just struggling to stay in this contest at the moment. Swans doubled their score. The Tigers need a goal quickly.
Groskowski's been very important for the Swans today. She's really worked hard in the ruck as this ball comes out. Quick kick finds Valentini. She's a little higher up than I'd like her. She's starting to get connected. Kick to White. Gets the pressure from Henry. All ball. Picked up beautifully by Ella Smith on the run. Kick in front of Franklin. Has the ability to turn an opponent if she gets some free space. Cox comes up and fills that space. Little clever tap forward to Bowen. And Swans get to build again. The kick's okay to Gibson. Good contest. She gets rid of Pugh and recovers well. She pulls it into the corridor. Edwards again. Stretching out to Wellstra. Sophie McDonald's got some work to do in front of her now. All they have to do is a kick forward. Can Hope Ugle get it? She can't. Good defensive work again from Rachel Ortlep. Goal-saving tackle. She's a terrific player, a terrific defender. And that should help Claremont rally.
I think she gets embarrassed by the amount you talk her up as well, from what I've heard.
Does she? Oh, I just think these girls are just wonderful footballers. Claire and Rachel, of course, Claire plying her trade at the Subiaco Football Club. The ball is with Laura Pugh.
And she normally is a very similar defender. Rarely beaten in the one-on-ones. Uses this one well, gets good ground. White keeps it alive. She'll need a soccer off the ground, and it comes off the inside of the boot.
If you don't want to get talked about, don't do wonderful things like that, young lady.
Yep. I remember we had the chat with Courtney Rowley about how good she was in this and that with the state 19s, and she said, I'm a bit embarrassed by that. So, well, own it, you're good. It's okay if people are talking you up.
It's better than people talking you down.
I know, she was named best on ground for Peel again yesterday as well. Great tackle here from Payne. Makes sure Anderson was going nowhere and the ball goes over the line. I think Anderson was okay with that as well. And the boundary throw in between the Swans interchange gates. Our favourite boundary umpire with the cap on. Throws it back into play. Gets good distance and good height on it again. Gives the ruck every opportunity. Jess Lowe wants to crash through. Cox has her measure. Wins the football. Lowe fights on well. Jars that ball free. Great ground ball pick up from Scanlon. Off to Hamilton Smith. Kicks to the advantage of Demanis, who goes back and takes the mark. Distance might be just beyond it. Didn't get off the mark. And as a result, the kick to Franklin was touched in flight. Claremont still a chance, though. Can they keep this one alive and find a shot on goal? Hand pass to Valentini, who straightens up and misses. Didn't they need that, Claremont, into the second half of this third quarter? And the margin is 17 points in Swan's favour.
She'd kick that 18 times out of 20, I reckon. Valentini from there. A lovely foot strike. Lauren Osborne plays on quickly. Goes long and high. A little bit straighter than she probably intended, but Baker is cast in the role of a tall. Drops this one, but then puts Valentini down behind the ball. Baker again gets the handball through. Trzowski looking for Bushby. Foot race. She's very quick, Abby Bushby. She gets this kick nicely down the left footer. Wellstra up in front of McDonald. McDonald, ground recovery is okay, but Wellstra's second effort again allows this ball to be trapped in the front half for Swan Districts. And they are just playing their role just beautifully at the moment. And I think the forwards coach and the head coach of Swan Districts Footy Club will be pretty proud of the pressure that's going on in the forward line.
Didn't see our good friend Ollie out there at the quarter-time break. He must be watching on TV today, I reckon. He'd be pretty happy with what he's seeing from his Swans boys. Swans girls, I should say. We'll get a free kick here on the outer side wing. That ball out of bounds on the full. It'll be Mel Hardy to bring it in. They do like to bring it into the corridor. Two Tigers flew. No one got their hand to it. Here's East again. Cleverly uses the left boot, gets it to the centre half forward position. Hugo Hayward wanted to hand pass it to Hyde. Now she does at the second effort. And Hyde can run this one and not just about have a shot. She'll take them on, has a bounce, gets around another, straightens and kicks and misses to the left. It was exciting. It didn't quite finish. And we'll see a behind added to the Swans total. And they maintain that 3-goal break with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Not much on offer for Bennett. She decides to play on. Doesn't quite get this one spinning as she usually would. Carries over the back. This could be a really good result for Claremont if they can get free here. I think Andy Payne was set on touching that. She did so. I think it was actually touched off the pack as well.
I think she tripped over her own feet there as well, running too fast.
She did wonderfully well not to hurt herself at all. Bounced up. Andy Payne, strong footballer. Controlled the wing a couple of seasons here at Claremont. Krzyzowski again. Amber Goodwin-Wissink trying to bullock her way through there, but she's held up. Brooke White rucking here. Beautiful tap down. Ella Smith. Step was wonderful from Michaela Hyde. She kicks the ball long towards Gibson. Tough work for Gibson today on a good defender. Talk about good defenders. Laura Pugh. Andy Payne, but chopped off by Dana East, who's just sharked this. It's a long ball into Walster again. Sophie McDonald's got her hands full. Naira Anderson swoops on the footy. Good in this situation. McDonald's able to slip the Anderson tackle, get it across to Laura Pugh, who connects beautifully upfield with Jasmine Stewart.
Great judgment from Stewart. Didn't know what was behind her. Never took the eyes off the football, and then the kick inside is effective to Ortler. Wants to put it towards centre half back. Pugh. And Claremont have opened up the outer side. They need to be clean though. Through comes Hardy, but Valentini judged it okay, juggled the mark, and now the switch is completed to the outer side. Hamilton Smith, Webb bearing down on her, but Hamilton Smith does well. Kicks to the advantage of Dumanis. This ball needs to sit for her. She's on her left side. Little hand pass over the top, sets it up nicely for Claremont. Scanlon has the open goal square, bounces it that way, but it skids across the face. Maguire might have had it covered anyhow. And another behind to Claremont. They don't get many opportunities inside 50. They've got to make the most of them. They're chipping away, but they need a goal. 17 points down, 5 minutes to go in the third.
Great transition by the Tigers. Got a chance to lock it in now. Brooke White pulls it down. Jess Cox still angry. Provides a fierce contest. Jasmine Stewart on the left foot has a long range shot. Swans are always well set up for the long ball in. Their staunch defence down there and a fantastic distributor for the Swan Districts Football Club, the skipper, Emily Maguire, to Webb. Wysoski again. Plays on quickly. Has a free player ahead of the footy. It's Tara Stribley. Misses her and rolls out of bounds. And Laura Pugh would be very happy with that going out of bounds. She was looking down the barrel of a 100-metre chase of a 16-year-old.
State junior athlete. Good luck. She's not the worst runner herself, no. Laura Pugh, but Stribbs has got some toe.
Well, she would have chased. There's no doubt about that.
So Claremont now building again down that outer side wing. Their ball use in the last few minutes has been very good. It's just that final effort in front of goal. Smith wants to take on the player on the mark. She's caught. Got some sort of a kick away, but ineffective. And now Gibson. Always dangerous when she opens up some space. Didn't strike that one perfectly, but it wobbled its way straight into the lap of Anderson. Gibson keeps running, wants it back. Anderson thought about taking on the player on the mark. Instead decided the 1-2 was a better option and then runs out of space. Claremont defenders have closed this down well. Well, their Swans won't give up on the ball, and in the end they'll get themselves a stoppage at half forward. Anderson and Gibson, the build-up was promising, but ran themselves into a bit of a corner. And there was just a pack of Tigers. So the umpire puts it in the air. Graskowski, decisive tap, socket off the deck, well by Bowen. Gets him inside 50. Here's Edwards again. Stands up in the tackle, able to get the hand pass away. M. Bennett's there though. Hand pass puts Stewart under pressure, but again, so quick to get that ball to boot. Nicely done though by Hyde. Could have almost been paid the mark. Instead hands it off to Henry. Ducks back onto the left. Kicks in the Webster direction. Had a good piece of it, couldn't finish. Stribley just pushed off that one. Claremont combined well. Sargent coming out of defence looking for a hand pass. Might have been better off giving the hand pass. Instead she's gone to Henry.
Henry's quick ball in. It's going to find Gibson alone. She can't quite rake it in. Good pressure from Bullis. Laura Pugh works her way through this to Dyke. Usually a good decision maker by foot. There's 3 Swans. Brooke White does very well. A little fumble on the ground again. Brings the heat. She gets a little one on the shoulder from Bowen. Bowen recovers quickly to Webb. Bullets coming the other way. Neither of those will give up in the contest. Little shove in the middle of Hayley Bullis' back from Bianca Webb. And Claremont play on quickly back to where the ball came from. This time, White's able to complete the catch. Brooke White. Not much on except to go down the line to Franklin, who takes the chest mark just over the back. This is looking good again for the build-up. Kelly Gibson being very careful there to step away. There must be something wrong with that footy, because some footballers that can kick it really well aren't getting it to spin backwards at the moment. Sasha Goranova provided some good front-on pressure to slow or delay the ball transition, but didn't have the desired effect because Bree Hyde is able to lace out Sarah Welsh, who was on a 100-metre lead. She kicks in turn over to Edwards. Bennett's able to bring the ball down in front. Edwards recovers first, loses her feet. Jess Lowe comes in to provide the block. The handball from M. Bennett finds Kat Bennett. She's trying to find her sister again in M. And it's all Bennett's on the far side. Sophie McDonald in front of the football. Generally knows the space. We've got a potential little fall from Welsh. The kick is fantastic to Franklin, who can't complete the catch. Gelmy so good in this situation. This handball's the ball to Cox. And Cox is able to connect with Bree Hyde.
Such an important one-on-one win there from Gelmy. Claremont had the numbers, but Swans have held up to it well. And they're about 60 seconds away from taking a very handy lead into three-quarter time, although that kick made it tough for Baker. Goranova then tackled by Baker. Through comes Bullis. It was a hopeful hand pass and it's worked out well. Payne with the quick kick. Osborne off her hands. Ground ball for Valentini. Couldn't quite handle it. And then Osborne gets rid of her. Goes back and wins the footy. And then Cox, a little chip pass to Bowen. Arriving late, Dyke makes a good spoil. Baker and Osborne both there. There's a pigeon right alongside as well. In great danger of getting stomped on. Payne wins the footy for Claremont. No one clean enough to break away with this. Cox good enough to stand up in the tackle. And the pigeon's gone out of there now.
The only reason that pigeon's been there for quite some time, I reckon Jess Lowe nearly trod on it. I reckon she saw it and moved her foot about 5 minutes ago. And that pigeon is now like a water carrier, just stepped across the line. Jasmine Stewart, meanwhile, handballs inside to Brooke White, who doesn't have the ball when she was taken in a half tackle from Ugle Hayward. Long ball in, the bench knows the time. Anderson's got behind, sorry, it's Maguire's got behind the ball again and controls the air. It's easy to mix up some of these Swans players because they play so well. And Maguire and Naira Anderson been able to be, and Mel Hardy been very good in the air today. Third quarter completed. It's 37 points to the Swans, 20 points to the Tigers. Another entertaining quarter of footy. Swans on the scoreboard. The game is still in reach of the Tigers.
Just the one goal kicked in that quarter. Naira Anderson kicked that goal. 1 goal, 2 to Swans. Just the two behinds for Claremont. That's why we have a 17-point lead to the Black and Whites. They look pretty tight out there. It's a warmish sort of afternoon. There's high intensity throughout the first 3 quarters. Let's see what the fourth quarter offers after this break here on front row screens. It's Swan Districts by 17 points.
Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple. Sometimes it's easy to just go with who you know. So here's what you need to know about Simply Energy. We're proud supporters of WA Footy. You can get 50% off our gas usage charges when you pay on time, and with service that's hard to beat, we make switching simple.
One quarter to go as Matt Riggio has a chat with the Swans mids. They've been pretty impressive out there this afternoon. Swan District's leading at three-quarter time by 17 points. There's Jack Shorts. We're waiting for a shot of Jack today. He's got the face mask around the chin at the moment as he's...
It's his moustache pushing it down, I think.
It might be, as he's just having a last couple of words before the team comes into the huddle to get the coach's address here at three-quarter time. And there's work to be done here for Claremont. They started the game nicely. Dumanis got the first goal of the game, but Swans have kicked 5 of the next 7 goals. And Adam Dancy, the Swans coach, will be pretty pleased with the way his girls are going. Dave Lindsay and Clint Jagger brought your commentators as we look at some of the third quarter highlights. And Deg's Swans just controlling play really that quarter. Neither team able to really put much on the scoreboard, but Swans look in control.
No, they do, and obviously the weight of shots indicates sort of dominance or field dominance of the Swans. I'm going to go just speak about Adam Dancy very briefly. So Adam obviously trusts players. So he says to Mel Hardy, come across from East Perth, you're 17 years of age, and go back and play on some of the forwards in the competition. And I reckon that faith he's shown in players has brought the players to trust each other. And what I'm seeing today is amazing. We've got AFLW players that are just happy just to give the ball to very young players within their team. And I think Adam Dancy's brought that to the Swan Districts group, and I think that it's a kind of thing that teams can really thrive on. They're very supported, they're very comfortable, they're very confident, and I think he's been able to break down the roles really simply. He keeps his messaging really, really quick. Obviously, as a development coach at Carlton for a couple of seasons, so he's brought a lot of good ideas. I think he's simplified some things for the players really well. The instruction over at Claremont equally is good, with some very, very good coaches. I think it's just a matter of the players beginning to really, really build in, buy into what's going on. I think they need in this last quarter, they have to have a crack at owning the corridor. They have to have a crack at rolling and playing on. They've got to get the ball deeper into the forward 50. And me sitting here saying that, I can guarantee you that the Claremont coaches are saying the same thing. It's just whether the players will actually get that done.
It is a worry for Claremont. I mean, Swans are unbeaten, and Claremont have only lost 2 games, and the 2 losses came against Swans. And even over the course of WAFLW history, it's 6 wins to 1 to Swans head-to-head against Claremont. If you want to win this premiership this year, at some stage in the finals, you're going to have to beat Swans, because they're going to finish top 2, and if you don't beat them in the second semi, then they're into a grand final.
And their team is good enough.
That's right,
to compete against the Swans, definitely.
So today's the day to put something in Swan's mind. That
but they might just be setting up those fairy tale seasons where you can't win. The champagne's already on ice, and then of course you win just that one game of the year against your opponent. It's the big one. It does happen.
It could be a big day for South Fremantle today as well. They're within 3 points of Subiaco at three-quarter time. 2-6 to 2-3. Low-scoring game at Leederville Oval. It was level at quarter time. Subi led by 4 points at half-time and now 3 points. So when it's such a low-scoring game, you're in the contest and you only need a goal or 2 in the last quarter, and then all of a sudden South might be celebrating something pretty big.
And you can win those games just with forward 50 entries.
So we'll keep you updated on that one. And this one's our match of the day. Yesterday, Peel defeated East Fremantle comfortably by 29 points. Kate Bartlett continued her remarkable form. 3 goals. 2 goals to Ella Roberts, 2 goals to Aisha Wright, and Kira Phillips kicked 1 goal 6, which is not like Kira Phillips. So that 29-point margin could have been a whole lot more by the sounds of things.
And hopefully everyone's encouraged by the fact that she took 7 shots at goal, which is enormous. And of course that could have easily been 6-1 in a league game, which really does change things.
Great to see Roxy Rue back playing WAFLW as well. She kicked a goal for East Fremantle, and Gabby O'Sullivan, who always performs well for the Sharks when she gets her opportunity, she kicked a goal as well. Swans will go forward through Mickey Hyde. She was held onto. Of course, saw her in a Fremantle jumper on a couple of occasions this year. She'd love to add a couple more games next year to her tally. She can get herself onto one of the 2 lists here in WA. And now get a ball up as Amy Franklin just has a little wrestle off the ball with Brianna Hyde. 2 of them just having a little cuddle, and Amy had enough. She needs to get into the ruck against Graskowski. Goranova's been good at the clearances today. Wins another one. Osborne, as always, setting up well behind the ball. Her partner in crime, Em Maguire. Normally a very good long kick of the football, and this is no exception, and Gibson wins a one-on-one there against Sargent. And she's a long kick as well, Degs. This is probably just a metre or two past her. She's going back, believing she's got the journey.
Well, she's definitely going to land it in the goal square. And it'll spin beautifully backwards, and it'll be lovely shape. So it's either a goal or markable.
Wilstra's down there, and she's always dangerous. Gibson from 49 metres out strikes it well. Won't quite have the distance, or will it? It has! Pugh was getting back. She put her finger up to the umpire saying, I think I touched it. And I think she was only hoping. Gibson's kicked the goal, and that's a dagger for Claremont. Great start in the first 90 seconds of the last quarter by Swans. Not sure Claremont have had more than one possession in the first 90 seconds. And a little jig and a dance for Kelly Gibson.
It's been a little
This is
while.
a good effort from 49.
It is wonderful. It's also been a little while since we've seen Kelly, who she doesn't like being called Kelly, just quietly. So that's a bit of sport to say that. Actually happy and having a bit of fun at footy.
Yep.
A lot of pressure on herself over the last couple of years, and it's wonderful to see her just joining in what is a juggernaut at the moment at Swan Districts.
She probably won't be happy me saying it was 49 out as well.
She wants 50. I had to kick it 50 to score. She did that in the centre. Having a jump in the rucks now, Franklin. She gets it down towards Goranova. You mentioned she's been good in the stoppages today. She's been good at the stoppages this year, I'd say. Really worked on her game. It's become a very, very important part of the midfield at the Tigers. Franklin again to Bullis. Quick kick favours Osborne, who's able to take the mark again. Could never get tired of calling how tidy she is behind the ball, Lauren Osborne. Bianca Webb flies up and gets the first touch, and then she fell her and she grabbed it. Beautifully worked. She kicks the ball to Michaela Hyde. Takes that and assesses what she's going to do next. She steps inside. Rachel, the ball's long and deep. It's going to favour Pugh. It gets over the back towards Gibson, and Stribley taps to herself to try and get a running shot at it. The ball skittles over the boundary line in the forward pocket for Swans.
They do look like they're a team that enjoy playing football together, the Swans girls. I've mentioned a couple of times about the dancing at three-quarter time or half-time. Start of the third quarter. Seen that in most Swans games that we've broadcast this year. And they do enjoy celebrating a goal with each other. And there's a lot of smiles on the faces when they're playing their football. Ortlip's caught there. Good tackle by the youngster. Number 8 today, Abigail Bushby. She's changed the number a few times in the game she's played this year. Wilstra wins this one down. Michaela Hyde steps through some traffic. Hand passes off towards Webb. Kicks towards Bree Hyde, who had that one covered, but it bounced off her chest. And Claremont clear through low. Although Maguire is in good position, has Goodwin hassling her. Maguire did well to get a kick away across the body. Back inside 50 for Bushby. She's tackled by Sargent. Umpire says she dropped the football in the tackle. And Sargent will get the free kick, and Claremont need to go fast.
Time to get in the V, I think. Go really quickly off the 45. Any pain, this kick's very wide. Lauren Osborne sees it out of bounds. Instinctively, it's what you want to do as a defender, but I think it's time to go fast for the Tigers. Roll the dice. Amy Franklin. Stephanie Gruskowski. Down to Bowen. To Cox, immediately set upon. Gets her hands free nicely. Would have been a great feed for Naomi Baker if not for Jasmine Stewart getting in the way. Swans tumbling the ball towards forward 50. Back feed's good. Kayla Hyde wants a give and go. Gets that now. It's got Bowen outside. She turns inside back to Cox. Brings the defenders back in. Cox wins the ball one-on-one. Bowen's a long kick around the corner. She drops it onto Matilda Sargent's chest. Hopefully Matilda is looking at the far side of the ground.
She is. She's going corridor. It's dangerous, but Lowe takes the mark. And now Claremont have got some space to work into. Looks like the Pigeons moved out to the outer side now, Deggs, as well. Maybe it's a friend of Jess Lowe. She was in danger of stepping on it earlier. He's tagging her at the moment.
Something tasty out there, but he hasn't told his friends.
Now McDonald's playing forward now for Claremont, beaten to this one by Gelmy, and then just gave a little tug on the hips. Prevented Gelmy from running away to collect the footy. Baker does well. Rides a bump, gets a kick away. Edwards again battling hard. Clever soccer kick from Graskowski. She's done that a couple of times today. Gives Bowen a chance. Needs to swing around onto that right boot again. There's a couple of Swans forward of the ball. Quickly onto that one. Bushby couldn't quite take the mark. Bennett, good pressure from behind and a great tackle. Umpire watches and decides to ball it up right in the hot spot here. And Swans could just about put Claremont away with the goal here. 12 minutes to go in the last quarter.
Tilda Dyke in the ruck. wins this one down. Under pressure straight away. A little high contact in the tackle. Just slipped high on Bullis. Walsh are competing again. Hayley Bullis wants to go wing, she can. Jasmine Stewart. The left foot up. Very good kick of the ball. So she can bite off something exciting here if she wants to. He chooses to come across the 50. Long ball's going to ask a big question of Bennett. Seeing there's Bushby. Drops forward from her attempted mark. It's in the hands of Matilda Sargent, who's tackled to the ground by Abigail Bushby. Had a good day. Fighting her way in league footy. Wonderful experience given to her by the Swan District Football Club. This tap was roved wonderfully by Goranova. Gets it into an interesting place. McDonald didn't come at the ball, nor did she delay the transition, so it's going straight back in. It's gone through Matilda Sargent's hands. It's in the hands of Ortlip now. Sargent to run onto it. Not much ahead of her footy, and she's confronted by Cox and Anderson, and she's put to the turf for a reset.
So time ticking away here for Claremont. 11 to go. They need 4 goals from here. They've only kicked 3 for the game. Cox copped some treatment again. She's dished some out today. She's been on the receiving end as well. A few bruises on her body at the end of today. She's a much improved player, I reckon, this year though. And has played every game this year for Swan Districts. There's a few that have done that. Jelmy, Henry, Osborne, Eagle Haywood, Maguire and Edwards. Been able to maintain the nucleus of a pretty good side, even with AFLW players and State 19 players out of the lineup. They've managed to blood some good youngsters as well. They seem to stand up pretty well. Anderson feeds the hand pass away. Webb, good distance on this kick. Wilstra's in a good position. Gets back, can't quite get it. It runs away from her. And another behind, which makes it an even 4 goals for Claremont to try to chase down with 10 minutes to go.
Mentioned Jess Cox. What she knows now is she knows what she's really good at, and that's what she does every week. She does the things that she's very good at. Very good at contested ball, very good at ground ball, very good at tackling, very good kick. As this kick goes off the hands of Jasmine Stewart and out of bounds. Swans with another opportunity to go inside 50.
Subiaco have kicked a goal against South. They lead by 12 points, so the Lions trying to hold on to 4th spot. East Fremantle watching that one pretty closely as well.
It'd be handy. South Fremantle wouldn't often be too keen to do East Fremantle any favours. Male or female footballers. Baker's tackled by Stewart. Ball spills out. Trying to run away with this is Anderson. Good enough to get her hands free. Get a double connect to Gelmy. Gelmy chips the ball over to Michaela Hyde. Lots of traffic. She steps beautifully. Puts a dangerous ball into space. Everyone's coming at this ball now too. First there was Matilda Sargent. Tripped over. Kelly Gibson's kept her feet. But the ball is trapped in there again. Good defensive work from the Tigers.
They're holding up okay, Claremont, but all it's doing at the moment is just keeping them in the contest, but not making any ground up at the moment. And Swans won't mind that at all. Interesting run towards the bench with Bella Lewis crossing paths with Michaela Hyde. I thought Bella was going to give her a bump there, and then it was a little bum tap instead. Jazzy Stewart gets a free kick for the Tigers. The umpire wants her to come right around behind the mark, which actually works out well because it's opened up the outer side, and Catherine Bennett was awake to that. Takes the mark, puts it out in front of Scanlon. Needs to be clean here, she is. And there's a lot of space forward of the ball here for Claremont. Good penetrating kick again from Scanlon. Franklin calls out her teammate in white. Couldn't take the mark, but time to recover and get it in long again. McDonald in good position. Osborne, terrible bounce for both of them. White now has the ball between her legs. She was taken high. Unfortunate there for Osborne that White had gone low to collect the football. And Osborne, just in her fierce attack on the football and the player with the ball, just happened to clip her a little bit high, and this is an absolute must-kick goal here for Brooke White. She had one shot in the first quarter, I reckon, Deggs, right up against the boundary. No problems with the distance, but she was wide. This angle's a little bit better. She's a lot closer to goal. A player of her experience really needs to kick it for the Tigers.
It's done well her to ignore a couple of really distracting late leads.
Kick wobbles, it's low and it's flat, and I reckon it spun sideways, but it's still 6 points. And it's a goal for White, and Claremont won't go away. 3 points is the deficit, so 3 goals is the deficit. They wish it was 3 points. 7.5 minutes to go, and it's a warm day. Players get a bit tired. There's no signs yet that Swans are fatiguing too much, but Claremont just need to keep pressing forward.
But that was a wonderful transition of the footy. Looked for the corridor, found an open space, bit of run and carry, a couple of good kicks, some just sort of forward pressure work just to keep the ball in just while the troops arrived, and of course then head and shoulders over the footy. A little tap on the ear, rewarded with a shot. Husband has toiled against 2 rucks today. He's been brave. Scanlon with her Gelmy. Kath Bennett arrives. Gelmy keeps her feet and tracks the ball well. She's got a support in East. Flips a handball over to Henry. Henry's left foot kick in the path of Breehide. Under pressure from Andy Payne. She just pulls her hand out, turns inside the corridor. And a long ball towards the back of the box is read well by Edwards. She takes some time to think her way through it. Handball misses Hope Ugle Hayward. And coming in there was Ella Smith, who was collected by the misnamed Friendly Fire. And she copped a shoulder in the ear from Husband on the way. Ball's not been returned back on the full to the Tigers. So they're going to get the benefit of a 50-metre penalty, which in this game is well done. I need to get someone out there to check Ella Smith. I think there was a big hit behind the ball, accidental. Jess Cox has rounded this mark up nicely. Very aware of Pugh going to play on here, which she does now to Smith. Looks to be okay. She connects with Gimanis. Gimanis lets it bounce. Tries to turn Maguire inside out. She goes outside to Bennett. Back to Lowe. Low ball into Scanlon, and the mark is taken well by Gelmy. Wonderful saving mark in defence. Geez, they've been good in defence today, the Ducks.
Certainly have. This girl's been outstanding down there. I don't think she's lost a one-on-one all day, Jamie Henry, and this kick's okay as well. Wide out of defence isn't a bad option when you're sitting on a 3-goal lead. Happy for that one to come off hands and a boundary throw in. The physios did go out to try to talk to Ella Smith and then saw her jump to her feet and run away. It still wouldn't be the worst idea to get across and have a bit of a conversation. Shallow throw in, and the umpire has called. That's a harsh free kick because that boundary throw in was going to drop about 15 metres short. The 2 rucks bumped into each other. Wilstra fell over and there's a free kick. I was hoping when the whistle sounded they might have recalled the throw in. Give the rucks a chance to do what they're supposed to do. As it is, Swans have turned it over. Goranova, penetrating kick towards half forward. Read best by Maguire, couldn't mark. Dumanis, a careful little kick inside, but Henry's there again. Couldn't take the mark, then was prepared to put her head over the football, and she's rewarded with a high contact free kick. And she's been a genuine star here today. She won't go home with the highest possessions on the ground or anything like that, Diggs, but I would not be very surprised at all if she doesn't get an award from her coach at the end of the day.
I think so. Very experienced player, Brooke White, who's played well too. Held accountable by Jamie Henry. A couple of Tigers combined to fumble this ball towards the square. East is clean to Cox. Cox put long ball in. Should suit Ortlep. Another terrible bounce for the Tigers. Naira Anderson comes and picks her pocket. Long ball, leading back Stock. She's very quick and she's very strong. She just needs a decent bounce. Krasowski can't quite get it. She does now. Turns inside. She's looking for a laneway run and she's got one in Stribley. Misses her. Ball's fumbled towards the goal square. Pressure here for the Tigers. Krasowski, can she get this around that corner? Always a little shallow. Through for one behind.
Handy point.
Handy. No, I think they've got enough points at the moment. It's all the work to do with Tigers.
Got to work 3 or 4 of the cliches in. We've got a couple in the first few minutes today, so been able to sit quietly and not use too many more. The kick in was good for distance, but needed to find a target because Claremont needs 4 scores from here.
Clean East.
Great work from East across to Hyde, who decided to kick with the left. On the way back out is Pugh. Kicks towards Scanlon, arriving late. Great spoil by Hardy. Stewart wants to attack this ball hard. Smith wanted to give a Shepherd, didn't really want the hand pass to come to her. In the end, the Tigers have run out of room, and the Bullets kick has gone well and truly out of bounds on the full, over the fence and over a second fence.
Looks like a little farmyard.
It does, doesn't it? Maybe they had a little group in there for the men's match yesterday, I'm not sure.
Gone through that into the long grass underneath the actual building.
So Hayley Colvin has had to jump a couple of fences.
Hannah Corney.
Well, Hannah Corney is down there. Yes. Back into play by Osborne. Very high up and under. Tough one to mark from forwards and backs. Anderson wants to take them on. Dropped it in the tackle. And Hamilton Smith should get the free kick. But Swans have done enough. They're going to be sitting 9 and zip. No team has won 9 games in a row in the 3 years of WAFLW. We mentioned pre-game, Deeks, that things could change a little bit with all these AFLW players coming back in across the comp. But Nothing much has changed as far as Swans are concerned.
No, I think that definitely a high-quality game. Definitely a lot of pressure around the ball. Ball movement and skills are good. Another nice mark by Jamie Henry. Just chops up the Tigers forward. But the results for Swans are the same. Another win coming up. Kick from Henry towards East. Doesn't fly this time. Misread the ball perhaps. Over the back to Bushby. She's going to release Edwards. She decides to kick instead. She just pulls that kick short as the pressure came from her right side. And consequently, it's been chopped off by Ortland. Finds Sargent. Neat ball transition again. Far side, Hamilton Smith. It's in her path now. Geez, the Tigers have let the ball bounce today a little bit. I reckon safety there would have been to get it in the mitts. Can always play on from a mark. Back to Kath Bennett's well worked. Ball drives down the line towards Smith, and this is going to take a horrible bounce for Smith and run towards the line. She manages to keep it in, steps inside too, but she can't break the tackle. She does now. Things light up in front of the ball. Jess Slow's worked up from half back. Plays on immediately. Rolls on Bianca Webb. Little choppy ball in towards Germanis. Well chopped off by Mel Hardy. And she's played very well in defence today. Although she's run down. Gets a second opportunity after the Goran over smother. And connects with Edwards, who does complete the catch at half forward for the Swans.
Great balance there from Hardy, sorry I should say. Both of them have been very good in defence for Swans today. Edwards. Deep penetrating kick. Kraskowski made a good contest. Ortland controlling it at ground level. Smith just reels in with the one hand. Then she's caught. Great tackle. Managed to get a hand pass away just before the umpire's whistle blew. But it's going to come back. Cox shows good judgment. The pigeon stands the ground. Nearly got kicked there by Smith. He wanted to keep the pigeon out the way.
Loves his footy.
Out the way. The Swans there as Pugh clears. Oh, there's Henry and Hardy both going for the same footy. But Mel Hardy again showing good judgment. They might be happy to wind the clock down. No, we're going to go more direct. Wheelstraw on the good lead. She's got a good pair of hands. She looks ungainly. And a lot of people would look at her and think, yeah, maybe not much of a footballer, but she doesn't do much wrong. Very effective player for Swan Districts. That was a throw. Claremont got away with one. Wheelstraw might be involved here again. Henry comes in hard. Lowe is stripped of the football there by Henry. In comes Goranova. And the siren sounds, and Swans have won 9 out of 9. To start this season. There's a little celebration between Hardy and Henry as well. Great win from Swans, 6-9-45 to 4-2-26. They had all the answers today. They controlled play, 15 scoring shots to 6. It probably should have been a slightly bigger margin, Degs. The Tigers tried hard but lacked a bit of polish. And Swan Districts just really controlled the footy, probably from about halfway through the first quarter.
Well, it's absolutely all there for the Tigers. Just a matter of being able to complete what they're trying to do, which of course is what training's for, and they'll work on that throughout this week. I think their ball movement's good. I think their field structure's good. I think they're well instructed. I think they've got terrific players. Just weren't quite able to execute the plan today, and generally Swans stuck to their plan longer than Claremont stuck to theirs, and Swans came home with the victory.
So Bree Hyde, Stribley, Wheelstraw, Kraskowski, Anderson and Gibson all kicked one goal for Swans. Dumanis kicked Claremont's first two. Stewart and White were their other goal kickers. Claremont will slip to third on the ladder after Peel kicked a goal. Peel won their match yesterday against East Fremantle. So it'll be Swans leading Peel at the top of the table. Claremont will drop to third. And just quickly looking, Subiaco have run away from South in the last quarter to win by 25 points at Leadville Oval, 5-10-40 to 2-3-15. So Subiaco will be a win ahead of East Fremantle, 4th and 5th. So it does look a bit like the ladder has broken into some clear groups. Swans clearly on top. Peel and Claremont probably fighting it out for second place in that double chance. And Subi and East Fremantle, both powerhouses of WAFLW football. Looks as though one of them, Degs, might miss the finals this year.
Both been long histories in the WAFL as dominant clubs as well. I think
there he is.
There he is, yeah. He actually held his ground. He's obviously dropped back into defence.
He's a four-quarter player, there's no doubt about that, and I reckon he's probably going to do a fair bit of his best work now that the players have left the field.
I have to also tell you that that bird is not going to be able to fly with the amount that's eaten across 4 quarters today. Really important, I think, before Graskowski and Wilstra being able to hold that front end target and getting a goal each as the resting rucks forward. They really worked Matilda Husband over today, who was brave and gallant in what she was trying to do. You could just see towards the last half how many petrol tickets that she'd spent. A terrific workhorse.
Well, Amy Franklin had a little go in the ruck at the start of the last quarter, trying to get her into the game, and that worked as well. It'll be interesting to see how Claremont use Amy Franklin. She's such a versatile footballer. There's a lot of options there, and it's one of those things where you probably want 3 or 4 of her, because if you had one in every line on the field, you'd be set up pretty well.
Yeah, you want the ball in long to her, but she's able to get the ball in long.
Yep, it's one of those puzzles. Every club's got them. And there's a very happy Swans group who would be very pleased. This was a bit of a danger game for them. I mean, it was first versus second, so there's no doubt about that. But they've had Claremont's measure ever since the WAFLW women's competition started, and they continue to control these contests. It's 7-1 head-to-head, which is a big problem for Claremont as they look towards finals, because as we mentioned through the call, Degs, whoever wins this premiership is going to have to beat Swans along the way. Here's the Swan song.
Ooh. If you want a drink of water, you'll have to go inside and fill your bottles up yourself.
There's none left.
I reckon a couple of those players actually threw that water hard enough that a few of them got hurt by the spray.
So they're a happy bunch down there at Swans, and they continue to go from strength to strength. They've passed every test that's been sent their way so far this season, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone can find a way to break them down as we look at some of the highlights from today's game. I'm just madly going through the fixtures here to see. I've got a feeling, yeah, I'm right, they've got Peel next week, so it's another top of the table contest. It'll be at Steel Blue Oval next week, and that would be a great game to see, because Swans did a bit of a number on Peel Thunder earlier this season, but Peel will have all their numbers back next week. Swans will be close to full strength as well, and that looks to be possibly the match of the season to this point. Claremont will get a crack at Subiaco, which becomes a very important game, 3rd and 4th, and the bottom two, South and East Fremantle, will contest as well. So 1st versus 2nd, 3rd versus 4th, and 5th versus 6th next week in the WAFL Women's. As we look at some of the better pieces of play here today, and most of them, I reckon, would belong to Swans. They were just a little bit cleaner, Degs. Yeah, they were, and they really knew where each other were. They were prepared to use the ball short. They were prepared to get that little connect. They drove long when they were required to, and their run and carry was probably the difference today. They're actually able to break a line by foot and by their foot speed. I think I probably missed a lot of Eastie's work today, Dana Reese, just because how quick she is with her hands, but very vital. Once you called it out to me, I started to have a good look at what she was doing, and I think the way that she plays at speed through the contest and then releases with the hands does certainly help Swans get their game together, although it is built off that real stability in the back half of the ground. I think the clean ball, ground ball winning players that Swans had was a big difference. Claremont had a few opportunities, we mentioned through the call, where if someone was good enough to take it cleanly and dish off, then they were out, and they might have been able to put a bit of pressure on that Swans defence, which, as you say, stood up so well. And there's experience down there, but there's some young kids as well that just are doing the job. That's all you need to do is win those or break even in those one-on-ones. And Jamie Henry, Mel Hardy won a few of them. Jamie Henry just broke even, just playing against dangerous footballers up forward who were bigger than her, more experienced than her, but just brought the ball to ground, forced a stoppage or allowed the support to come in and help. And she was very impressive today. And there's one of Mel Hardy's grabs, probably 3 or 4 of those today in the air where she was prepared to attack it. And some good handball receives too at speed. So it's been a good day for Swan Districts. The Black and Whites are 9-0 to start the season. The Hyde girls were good again this afternoon, and Emily Maguire controlling things in defence as well. So time for us to pack things up. Thanks to the guys downstairs who got us on air today. Another great piece of work from Front Row Screens. Great to have Dex back with us again, the A-team back in. See if we can get together again for another few calls before the end of the season as well. Just watch another great big falcon out on the ground. Sorry, you shouldn't be laughing at kids being hit in the head with footy, but anyway. It's always funny. Well done to Swan District's 19-point winners today. We'll be back with more WAFLW action next week thanks to Front Row Screens.
This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud partner of the WAFL and WAFLW. The West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams. Kia, proud partner of the WAFLW. This is Kia. Simply Energy, supporting WA Footy's talent pathway.